Man. We are here with our interviewee for today, Mr. Kyle Phillips. Kyle, can you have a seat in the hot seat, please?
Oh boy.
What should I get a bio? Yeah, like to read out and tell
Nah, it's quite okay. That's more or less a bio there.
That is more or less a bio on the graphic that I made. But we just want to welcome Kyle and thank him very much for taking time out of his busy schedule to talk to us. He's so busy that he cannot even pay attention up to now. But yes, I'm also going to be managing the chat and stuff from on my iPad. So my Form 6s, you all know you all are in charge this time. So take it away. Whoever is going first, whoever has to do whatever. I am just moderating. So I might interject at some point in time or the other, or I might just stay quiet.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lakosha. It's great to meet with somebody who is young in the music industry, because you're gifted and you have the ability to, write and record and produce like melodies for these big artists like Marshall and Cass. So my question to you is, can you define in your own term what a music producer is and explain your craft?
Sure. Well, in modern popular music, like let's say hip hop or R&B, a music producer role is a little bit different to what we have it as here. Internationally, a music producer is purely just a beat maker. But in Trinidad, the music producer is the executive producer, the beat maker, most times the mixing engineer, the recording engineer. So my role as music producer is one that encompasses an entire musical project. So therefore, from the lyrics of the song to the recording of the song to sometimes the planning of the performance for competitions, a music producer most times has a part to play in all of these things. A lot also, the music producer ends up becoming the manager for that artist throughout that season also, because it's just naturally what happens. So my role as music producer sometimes gets extended into a lot of other fields, but we still just call it music producer. Does that answer your question, LaQuisha?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
No problem.
I did tell you something. You all are quiet. What's the cause for the quietness? It's all right. You read that, so you have to tell them.
So one of these songs that sorry, my bad. I'm Serena. Okay, I'll proceed now. So one of these songs that you produced was Stage Gone By, and it was obviously wildly successful and favored internationally and locally. So could you go into a bit of detail in your process of creating that song, as well as your reaction to its widespread success?
Sure. Stage Gone Bad is a special project, as most times is all of the title songs, like any road march winning song or any Soca Monarch winning song is usually a special project because you get asked a lot of questions on interviews here, there, everywhere, and you always reminisce on the story over and over and over. So it becomes second nature to you. That project was special because that was the culmination of about 3 to 5 different songs done over the course of 2 to 3 years. So we did, I'm trying to remember the names, but I would never. We did about 3 different songs, all geared towards Road March. But all of them were not at the level that we needed it to be at. And
when you say we, you mean you, Kessa, and Iowa?
No, me, the writers, and the other producers on the project. We all sat with it for about 2 years, yeah, 3 years, honestly. Because we started directly after we finished Savannah. It was the same team that did I Was Song Savannah. As soon as we finished that, we went into starting this project. And we started it, I try to remember the names, but I really can't remember the names. We started it, and every time it was always missing some final aspect. Until coming down to the later stages of the project, we say, wait, if we use the chorus from project 1 and we use the verse from project 3 and then the drums from project 2, and we put all of them together, what we'll get, if all of them missing different things and we use all of them together, then we might get what we're looking for. And that's what it became, because the chorus in Stage Gone Bad, the timpani roll, pum 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 pum, that was from a EDM version of a different song we had before. That was the EDM drop of it. So when they all came together, we realized that, yo, okay, this is a serious sounding project. We can't give Iowa this alone. And we tried. We have recordings of Iowa recording it alone, and it just wasn't what it needed to be. We always was playing around with the idea of Kes, but we just wasn't sure how he would react to something like that. And we sent it to him, and he fell in love. He fell in love with it. He booked a session right away, and he worked his tail off and recorded. And then eventually we had Stage Gone Bad. We still had our little doubts about it. Leading up to the actual release was a little stressful with Iowa releasing Conchel, and Kes had a next power song, and then we were supposed to shoot a video, and it ended up just being a lot of trouble. But eventually when the song came out, it was widely successful. More than we could have imagined, actually. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, it did. I'm glad that you brought up that it took 3 years, because oftentimes we would hear the songs on the radio or during Carnival, and we would think that, somebody created it during the season, but a lot of time and effort went into it.
Yeah.
I also glad that you brought up Soca Monarch and Road March. Do these competitions and its demands ever affect your ability to experiment with sounds? Are there ever times when you'd want to go a certain direction and you wouldn't because of the nature of the competition?
That's a great question. Usually when it comes to carnival songs or sound, we try to experiment. We try to get out of the box while remaining within the box, if that makes any kind of sense. It's like we try to experiment as far as we could without losing the feel of carnival or losing the essence of mass or any of those things. So most of the songs that you hear that we have done and are successful are experiments. Because usually, most times, if you release a soca song that sounds exactly like soca, it never really gets the light of day. It usually is a nice song and it's been really good, but it's just so safe that it doesn't connect with the listeners. I'm trying to find an example for you. No, I don't have any boring songs in mind. I think I don't know if you all will be familiar with the Foley rhythm, but if you all know the Foley rhythm, it is, in my mind, that was a crazy experiment of us going very roots African in the sound. But then when it plays on radio, it just feels like, another soca song. It feels normal. But in studio, we went far left field from what we would usually do as a soca sound. And it's only when it's consumed you realize, okay, but this just fits into the mold of, another good soca song. So we try our best to experiment, but still keep the feel of carnival. So it's not being jaded to Soca Monarch or Road March. Usually we do experiment a lot, and that's the successful ones. The Road March, song usually needs a lot of specific things. Like you can't win road march without a section of music to cross the stage to. So those are some of the things that hold you at bay. But finding unique ways to do it is what makes it interesting, because you can't really do the same song. Well, I've seen it done already. You could do the same song, but it doesn't feel right to do the same song, because every time you want to do something brand new, you don't want to do exactly what you've done before. So yeah, every year you try to do better than you did the year before, or you change what you did, or you try something new, or you implement this new technique that you learn over the course of the year, and therefore it makes your sound vary a lot every time that you hear it, or every time that you try something. I hope I answered your question there.
Yes, precisely. You mentioned working with Iowa and trying to get Kes on board. So on a personal level, does working with these, various artists or quote unquote stars and, the varying personalities, does it ever get difficult? And how do you adapt to their different demands or cooperating styles?
Usually that is the most difficult part. Honestly, that is the most difficult part. Messaging an artist to see if he like a song, like that is the worst part of this entire thing, because you could message somebody, you could send them the song, they would listen. I remember once I heard a story of my brother. He sent a song to an artist on WhatsApp, and the artist sent back a laughing emoji, and that was the end of the conversation. They didn't speak after that. And like, it is honestly, it could be terrible.
Oh my God, sorry, I just felt the need to react to that, because no, that real tough. That real tough.
So you can imagine working 2 years on a song and you send it to somebody and they don't even give your words back. They hit your emoji. Immediately you cancel the artist right away. So yeah, that is the worst part, because it's not like we send it to their management or somebody who could proofread and give the right responses. Sometimes, they might be in a fet, or they might be tied up doing something, so they can't respond well. But it takes us on this end to now understand, okay, let me really find out what they're saying about it. The love that Kessa share for that song, that's extremely rare. Most times you have to kind of speak with artists and show them, yo, I think this song would do well because so and so, or this reasoning, or you could do this with the song. And if you're doing a video, you show them the entire picture that you're seeing. Because that helps them make their decision with the song. Like artists like Patrice. Patrice is never sold on any song. Patrice hears the song and she's be like, I don't know. I mean, I'll record it, but how you feel about it? Okay, cool. Like she did that with songs that become monster songs, like A Little Wine, Patrice was on show. Carry On, Patrice was on show. But when it releases, you don't get that uncertainty in her voice when she sings, but she is always on show. And dealing with the different personalities, it just is really some people skills you just have to have, because you could send somebody a song, like I could send a certain artist a song and they would not respond to me. But if I send it to somebody that, close to me, like their producer, and then he plays it for them, is a different response. So you just have to manage sometimes the personalities that you're dealing with, especially if it's an eccentric personality.
Yeah, plenty of those.
Yeah, especially in this industry, this soca thing. Yeah, you have to manage it, and that is the most difficult part of the entire project, because it's very disheartening to receive a laughing emoji for a song, or the possibility of just not getting a response.
So is it that the general structure of the industry is that producers connect directly with artists? It's not as though you go to their management team or there's like a middleman or anything like that. Is that kind of intimate, I guess you could say?
It varies for every project. Every different one is different. Like if I'm to connect with Swanee, I tried messaging Swanee, he never responded. He read my message and didn't respond. But when I message his manager knows me well. She responds to me, okay, well, if we're doing this, it'll have to be 50% up front, and he'll want to write his own song. And then she would respond to me.
So the link thing.
More or less. Because the artists, most times, I don't want to say they're very self-centered, but they don't handle or conduct themselves well, and it's to be expected. So you try to avoid them if possible, but that's why it has like events, or when it had events, you go to the events and you shake a hand, you get introduced to them through whoever, so that when you do message them, it's not a random person messaging them. They know who messaging them, and they will quicker give you a response if they know who you are. But if they don't know who you are, like in case of the Swanee thing, you just wouldn't respond. So
networking.
Yeah, you had a network and you had to manage who are your connections. You know who you could talk to, who will respond to you to organize the things for you. So managing each project for that situation is what we have to do as the music producer.
So in a sense, forgive me if I use like the wrong term, but it's kind of like a chain of command kind of thing. So if you want to get in touch with our artists per se, like you have a song that you want to pitch, you have to get in touch with their producers instead, not them. Otherwise, the chances of it actually going through will be lower, or no.
Well, it varies. Every project is different. Let's say we want to pitch a song to you all. Have an artist in mind? Call an artist now, and I'll tell you how I would go about getting in contact with them.
Everybody get quiet because we don't want to call names. I don't know, I guess.
Like, choose another name.
Yeah, choose the next name.
So someone like Nyla.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah.
If I am to get in contact with Nyla, like just today, I thought I want to do a song with Nyla. I would organize the song, organize the music, and then I would speak to Anson, who is Nyla's manager / main producer. Because me and Anson, real good. We play games together. We cool. So I talk shipping this with Anson. I would just message Anson and say, yo, so and so is the case. This is what I'm thinking. What you feel about this? What we could do with this? Yeah, opposed to messaging Nyla straight, because Nyla could be, well, usually Nyla could be Bahamas, somewhere else, this place. She could be on stage performing when you choose to send that message and would not get your message right away most times. So you find the link that you know is best for you. Let's say it was a different producer, like let's say if it was Isaac Blackman, who is Nyla's family, he probably could message Nyla and that would make more sense for him. But for me, I message where I know my message would be received, opposed to going straight to the artist most times.
So we want to know a little bit about you and your brand. So I would assume that you would have grown up around the whole music production scene. How did you develop your own brand and integrate yourself into the industry?
Ooh. Yeah, I grew up around music from jump. My father was a producer. I think you all might be too young to know Roll Up the Tassa by Drupati, but he produced songs like that. And yeah, so he in himself was a very popular producer in his time. And my brother found a way to branch separate from him. And therefore, that's why we have all the different labels and names and production houses, is because we try to differentiate ourselves from each other. Because I could have stayed under my brother and done work there, and it would be good work too. But at the end of the day, they'll still think him. They wouldn't think me. So therefore, creating a separate brand and a separate name gives me my own space to do what I want to do and not be jaded as Casey brother or Kenny's son. Now people go up to my father and be like, oh, use Kyle father. Or they talk to my brother, oh, use Kyle brother. So it varies between how we all try to differentiate ourselves. And I think at the end of the day, all of our overall goals are different. So my brother is really trying to break into the international market, opposed to me and my father, who our goals are more Trinidad rooted. So the different brands give us the room to express ourselves personally and separate us from each other, because we all essentially do the same thing.
So did you start off with, wasn't Chase Life wasn't with Precision?
Mm-hmm.
So you started off with Precision and then you created Badjohn Republic. Forgive me, ladies, for butting in here. So Badjohn Republic was originally, I'm not sure if it still is, but it's a group of producers. Am I right?
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm. So how was so it started off with Precision,
mm-hmm.
and then no, which was the original one? Which was
KMP Music Lab.
KMP Music Lab was the original, and then Casey branched off into Precision,
mm-hmm.
and then you started off with Precision and then branched off into Badjohn Republic. So tell us about, the formation of Badjohn Republic and, what that was was intended to be, I suppose.
Okay. But KMP Music Lab is where we are now. My father built the studio. He named it KMP Music Lab. All of our names are KMP, our initials. So that's why he named it that.
And just keeping music pumping.
Also means keeping music pumping. But it was our initials. So he had this already. And Casey used to be in the studio doing work. I heard in people would be here like from 2 o'clock and wait for him to come home from school. And he would come home in his uniform and sit down in the studio and do work. And all that time he was just under KMP Music Lab. And then he realized that people associate KMP Music Lab with Kenny. Mm-hmm. So all the work he doing for KMP Music Lab would just go towards Kenny, mm-hmm. and not particularly him. And in this industry, your name is your brand. So if you are living off of somebody else's name, it might not be in your best favor. So therefore, he created Precision with his friend in school, Nikolai Green, who also has his own thing now called NMG Music. And he worked Precision. And then we had a period of time where another producer came down from England to study and learn under Casey. And I think I was just at the right age at that time. So we learned together. We understood this together. We learned how to produce together. We learned how to mix together at the same time. When he teach me at the same time. We was both in the room like classes. Mm-hmm. And then I did some songs and it went under the Precision name. And listening to the radio interview, when somebody says Precision, automatically they think Casey. They don't think, oh, this could be somebody else. So therefore, I realized it was necessary for me to build my own name and my own brand separate from him. I had to create one. And at that point, I was working in tandem with a stick fighter personnel in the music industry. He used to write songs, used to sing, used to stick fight. And we did a lot of songs together. We had a nice synergy going on when it came to the music, and we decided to form Badjohn Republic under the grounds of we could be Badjohns for the music and we could do as we please for the music, because our first song was Waiting on the Stage, which was a full techno EDM song. We were aimed to be a brand like Major Lazer that was not a name, that was more an image or a face or a cartoon. Mm-hmm. But we realized soon after that Trinidad does not accept something like that easily. We kind of need a focal point or a person to connect something to. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we had to put our names and our faces on the brand to make sure it worked for us. So therefore, we started putting out our own images and our own thoughts and our own feelings towards the brand, and it kind of became mine, less his, because I was the producer, so people always associated me and they just saw him as like a songwriter. Something else I had to add to that.
So in terms of actually learning to be a producer, it was like a mentorship situation, basically, between, well, from you, your brother, and all that.
Well, yeah, I think my father taught my brother by, we never learned by classes most times, well, except with my brother, he kind of gave us specific classes. Like, and that's what he does now, where he does a big workshop where he allows people to come and he gives a big auditorium-wide class on how to do this. He starts a song and he finishes it. That's kind of the intimate classes. He would be working here with an artist and we would just be standing up in the corner looking on, seeing what he do.
On the job training.
Yeah. And that's how he learned from my father. And that's how I essentially learned it from him. So that's how it came about. So we all kind of have the same work style, same process, same workflow with small little nuances that change or vary between us. But yeah, that's how we work. Through the OJT style.
Y'all know this call has about 2 minutes again, and you just join back using the same link once it's over, right? But you could continue with your next.
I know your mentor played a tremendous role in your life, which is your dad, right? And I know you was talking about the work style and workflow that you and Casey and your father have, right? But what is the special skill in you developing your music that differentiates from theirs?
Okay. We always joke about this. Like anytime we see my father doing a song, he is purely vibes. We say no skill, just vibes. Like whatever he feels, he puts. Like, and he does a lot. Most times too much. Casey is the opposite. Casey does no vibes, pure skill. So he is very precise of the name precision. He could tell you things that you don't need to know about at one sample in a song. He could tell you about it. Yeah, he's extremely precise. And I try to be the hybrid of the two. Whereas I use some skill and then I use some vibes and I bring the two of them together. So that's how we differentiate our sound. Like if the three of us was to do the exact same beat, we could feel the difference immediately, without a doubt, because we all know each other's differences.
I like that. It's gonna, don't bother to ask the question yet because the call is going to end in less than a minute. But now that we know a little bit about you and how you you know, your style and so on, we're gonna go a little bit more in depth into minding your business as not like that as a creative player in the industry. And we are also going to talk a little bit about your newer profile of event producer, promoter. You did Buzzard?
Keegan do Buzzard right there with me stand up in the back of the room.
Nice.
And I'll part to playing it.
Okay, we're back. So we have about 3 people to come back, but whenever you guys are ready with your next question, going more into, you know, talking about the industry and what we want to know as Form 6 performing arts students. And I have some Form 5s listening on as well, but whenever you all are ready.
Good evening, I'm Joshua Francis, and my question is, for your event Socalize, what was your original vision and who was your target audience for this event?
Good afternoon, Joshua. That's an interesting name. Socalize was a recreation of an event. It's still going, right? Everybody can hear myself.
Yes.
Right. It's a recreation of an event that my father held years ago. It never had any footage or anything of it because that's how old the event was. It didn't have like cameras and things to take anything of it back then. he used to have it in the park. If you ask your parents or your whoever, they always knew about, I think it was called On the Greens. He always used to have a lot of artists coming down and singing, and it used to be a big free fete. And that was the idea behind Socalize. It was me finding a way to help the artists that I work with, because I work with Bungie, Fian, Marshall, Kes, Iowa, but Bungie, Marshall, Fian, Kes, Iowa have no time with me. If they were to call their producers, they would call Kenny, Static, Casey, whoever. That's who they grow with. I'm not who they grow with. I just work with them. So I want to help the next generation of artists, the people to take Bungie's place or take Iowa's place or to be the next Marshall Montano. Yeah, I wanted to help them because in hindsight, that's who I want to work with for the next how much ever years. Because Marshall might stop singing last year or whatever it is. So I wanted to help the next set of artists, and therefore I had to find a means to introduce the next set of artists to the general public, and therefore Socalize was that idea. I was playing around with the ideas of how to do it. Like I had Socalize as a club party in October, years before it became a fete. Yeah, we used to have it in Vass a while back, and we just used to have the young artists come in, perform, whilst the big artists come through and perform for free. Everybody would do their thing for free. People would come in for free, and they would get introduced to the public that way. That was my initial idea with it, and it kind of was amazing. The first year, we didn't expect the turnout that we got, and then the second year was also great. So that was the idea behind it, to find ways to introduce the younger artists to the public, because the older artists would come and perform for free as a show of good faith. You know, they want to get their songs heard, they want to see how the people responding to their music. So a very early fete that helps promote the songs, they would be very happy to do it. Yeah, and that's just how it went. I remember immediately after the first Socalize, Iowa called me and he's like, Kyle, this is what we need. This is, you know, we've been lacking this. You know, long me and go to a free fete that I actually enjoy. And he spoke for about 40 minutes just saying, yo, yeah, no, this is great. Just now, you know, this is giving the love back to the Patreons, opposed to making it so corporate like a tribe ice, so making it corporate and you have to pay a lot of money for all these different things. So yeah, that's what Socalize was, trying to find the next or introduce the next set of artists to the public. So some of my strongest artists that I try to keep in the events are the younger ones. So Aaron Duncan, I don't think he came this second year. I'm not sure. He did. Nah, I believe he was supposed to be there. But if not, it was because he had school the next day. So he couldn't come and perform too late, or he'd have perform early and leave. Vaughn from Grenada is a young boy. So I always try my best to find whoever has the popular songs and they are young. I will ensure I find them and bring them.
So I am just filling in while you're unmuting mics. So Socalize basically is like a platform then to give the upcoming artists a chance to, you know, let the audience know what they have, what they're offering for the season is, and also to introduce the listening audience to them, let them see their face and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. As a young artist, one of your most difficult things is like, sorry for the analogy, I don't think this will be a good analogy for you all, but as a football player, you get better with game time.
Well, it can be a good analogy for us.
This is young ladies, yeah.
So
and I've seen Pinal Convent football team. And, oh.
Excuse, we have athletes in this class.
Thank you very much.
I know, I've seen them, and that's why I think this might not be a good one. Yeah, as a young player.
I used to be on Pinal Convent football.
Precisely why I'm saying that.
Anyway.
Right. As a football player, you get better with game time. You could train how much ever you want, but in a game is completely different. And it's the same thing as an artist. You get better with time on stage. You get to learn how to handle the stage. You get to learn how to interact with your audience. And this is a platform that does that for you, because there aren't really much as a young artist places that you could go and perform easily and get that game time in or get that practice in front of a crowd. So this is one of the events that, you know, the young artists are always looking forward to, so that they could come in and perform and enjoy a crowd or perform in front of people. A bunch of artists came to me years after, or right, little days after, and say, yo, I didn't know performing in front of a crowd is be like that. And that's, whew, that's frightening, boy. Way, I didn't know, you know. I said, nice. And usually I try to cipher it by putting the ones that has less experience with it earlier in the day, so that, you know, their families and their people will come out to watch them, and that's who will see the others. But later in the night, I put the more experienced ones to perform in between the voice or the whoever. And that's what Socalize was for me, to create that platform for the younger artists.
Nice. I'm going to jump in again. So I actually didn't really tell you, but we are doing business for the creative arts. So last week this week, the class that we were doing, we were looking at capital building, as in funding and stuff for creative ventures. So one thing that we established is that in order to have any kind of creative venture, no matter what it is, you need to have capital of something. You need to have money of some sort, or some sort of funding, or some sort of resource, or whatever the case might be. So the premise for Socalize is that it is free. How did you then look at the sustainability, not just feasibility then, of the event, having to, you know, foot costs with security, lighting, things like that? What was the plan then? Instead of, you know, putting out an event that would more or less send you bankrupt, or was it a mix between, I guess the social benefit of the event was the payment for you, so you're willing to kind of, you know, take the risk of more or less making a loss? Or was there like a an idea behind it, that it would make money in a way?
Well, it was never a give back situation where we intended to, you know, we love the culture so much, we will do this event for free and foot all the costs. No, it was never that plan in mind. It was always, okay, I am not looking for this event to make $1 million off of. No, is really an event I would like to put on for it to sustain itself. So at any given point, we were always looking to create means to allow the event to break even. Yeah, so it has some non-glamorous parts of the event that are not known. Like for the first one, we had to raise funds to have the first one, because all that money didn't jump out of my pocket that year. I sold cookies in that first year. Would you believe? I put together a committee of young artists. We had about 70 people. So it had young artists, young producers, young writers. Everybody worked together with each other. I brought everybody together. We called it Black Coffee. And we worked together. So the writers worked with the producers, and they did the song, they pitched it to the young artists because they know they had somewhere to perform. And during this time, my sister is a bakery chef, you could say, on the side. So she did cookies for me with the Socalize logo on it, and we sold it. And I gave sets to all the artists, all the young producers. Everybody sell about, 10 cookies for me. And
so if you have 70 people and 70
yeah,
people
stop counting
sell...
my money. Stop counting my money.
So right. 10 cookies each. That's...
Right. So we made some funds from the cookies, and the cookies allowed us to throw that event.
And also the cookies were more or less like a marketing
Yeah,
thing.
because it had the date and it had the name on it. But you wasn't really buying the cookies if you didn't know about the event, because whoever's selling you the cookies would tell you.
But then the thing about it was people who would see it on social media, then they saying, well, everybody posting up this cookie for this thing, you know, what is this about?
What is the
and
cookie?
then
Yeah,
we
yeah.
find out more about it. So the cookies were like fundraising and marketing, 2 in 1, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, and that came from that was a that was a point in my life where I was reading a lot of self-help books and going through a serious phase. And I remember reading a book where I think it was Tony Robbins or somebody said that you never lack what it is you need. Wait, I'm paraphrasing this terribly. You don't lack what it is you're looking for, you lack the creativity to find it.
Yeah, I knew that.
So I looked at what I had, and I had all the performers on hand, and I looked at what else I could do. So I don't have the monetary ability to do this right now, but what else do I have? I have the ability of a vast big network. I have a sister who will bake these cookies for me for free. So I got everybody in the big community that we had. We all come together and we buy the ingredients. So somebody that buy a carton of eggs for me. Our next person that buy a big pack of flour. This fella and he have a ranch, so he get this for free. And we all come together and we barely spent any money to put together the ingredients. And then we all came together again and stick the stickers onto the cookie. That, whew, yeah, that takes so long. We stick these stickers of the Socalize onto the cookie, package all of them, put them into boxes, give it out to everybody. Everybody went on sale, bring back the money for me. And that's how we were able to throw the event. And I think the excess cookies we had, which were extremely old at that point in time, we had them in the event too. And we just gave it out to people. It still tasted really good.
So it was really the team effort that made it. Teamwork made the dream work.
Yeah.
Less.
The team was my largest and strongest resource. So it was never a monetary resource that I needed to dip in my pocket. I think in all that first fete cost $3,000 out of my own pocket. And that was because I chose to spend $3,000.
If you all have a question that you need answered, that just jump in, but just to keep it flowing. So now that was how the first Socalize was. Joshua, you could go ahead if you want. That's how the first Socalize was funded. Now the second one was a different model. I guess you would have developed a little bit from then, from just, the team that you had being behind, the Capitol building and stuff for it. Talk to us about how the second event came into action in terms of funding.
The second one was extremely self-sufficient. The second one, we had sponsorship upon sponsorship. Okay, I shouldn't say it like that. We had one sponsor that gave us a lot of money.
How did you get the sponsor? Like, how did you go about?
My father got the sponsor for me. We did a lot of emails and was sending it around. But the majority of the people didn't want to sponsor money. They wanted to sponsor product. So we got a sponsorship from the cabin where he came and he sold, but he just gave the team cabin. So I came home with about 6 boxes of cabin. Yeah, so any artist wanted food or anything, they provided it. We had a drinks lady. Any artist wanted anything, we go from them and we get their product and put it forward now. Yeah, we got sponsorship. One large sponsor from NLCB who was our main sponsor. So they put up all their paraphernalia. They gave me stuff to give out by the door. And we had the idea that we played around with the first one being a contribution. So when you come into the event, somebody by the door asks you, hey, you willing to contribute? The event free. But if you want to give anything, you could give. People will be like, oh, well, I no change or whatever. Or they will give how much ever. And this was always my aim to help it become self-sufficient. Like you see in that picture there where they say $50 contribution equals entry. We fought for about 3 days on that because I was like, the people wouldn't think it free. And the man is like, yeah, boy, we need them to give us money, otherwise we can't have the event again. So I forego my idea of always saying, yo, this is free, and allow them to put that on the artwork. So most people came thinking you had to pay when you didn't have to. And after a while, people started to, you know, grow to love the idea of the event. So it's like they're not really coming to see any specific artist because they have no clue who is coming to perform. But they're coming for the lime.
So on that note, don't mean to cut you off, but when you were drafting up, I guess, brainstorming Socalize, did you have a target audience in mind? And I guess this is a bit of a touchy question, but considering that it's a free event, did you anticipate having a certain kind of audience connected with that, or was it just you know, people of all ages, or people from the area? Or because I know for Socalize, it had people coming in maxi from Point Fortin. It had entire maxi loads of people coming from different parts of the country. So what was your how did you foresee the audience, and did it affect the planning of the event itself?
Yes, I went and had a meeting with Junior Grello because he's a family friend somewhat.
That's the mayor of San Fernando.
Right, and to ask him what he can help me with for this event. Like, he's a friend. I needed to use all my resources on hand. So I spoke with him, and he's like, well, Kyle, I could help you with a venue for free. I was like, sure, that sounds great. What is the venue? He's like, Skinner Park. And I was like, for a free event, I cannot have it in Skinner Park. I'm terribly sorry, but due to what I think will happen in Skinner Park, because my father had started in Skinner's Park. He started in Republic Bank, actually, and then moved to Skinner Park. He moved all over San Fernando before coming to Palmis. And I chose not to go to Skinner Park because I thought it would not be the audience I'm looking for. I kept it here because I know this field. I play football and I feel every other day. I know the field, the ins and outs. I know how to maneuver to get the best out of it. It is also created in such a way that it was very helpful. There were 2 entrances and to the field. So we just utilize that, allowing so people don't run around and come through our next entrance or scalp their way through. We wanted them to always pass by the gate. Although you don't have to pay, you know, people would still try to find a way to go around. And it having tons of performers too, we needed to have a separate entrance for the performers to keep it separate, but also not open to the public.
So you're saying that even the choice of the venue had to do with your target audience as well. So the audience and the venue kind of fed into each other.
Yeah.
In a sense.
But even though it is still a free event, and it would still get rowdy because the number of people coming to a free event, you could never grasp and say, all right, well, I believe we're going to have this amount. No, because you never know. It's free. Somebody from town could just say, oh, everybody from town, let's go down the road. It's a free event. We just have to spend for gas. So I was never really sure of what my audience would have been. But yes, I tried to keep it a certain way by watching my location, watching the art that I put out and stuff like that to try and influence the right people I was looking to have there. Yeah, and it was just me thinking about putting on a good show for the people I know, the people around the area and stuff like that. I never really wanted it to be, well, I never thought of it being a countrywide event. I always thought it was just like a San Fernando event to keep it cool for environs. Yeah.
Again, if you all have questions, you could jump in. So was the intention ever to get any, or will it, I mean, after COVID, ever be for Socalize to bring in income more than just to cover the cost of throwing the event itself? Or is the vision for it always to be kind of this structure that it currently is? And or is it something that you even considered, for it to be a money-making event more than just a community thing?
Well, in a perfect world, if it becomes that Socalize is making more money than it is spending, I would give the money to the fellas who helped me throw it, because I went to Air Committee first and they was gonna charge me to throw it, and that's because I would use their network, I would use their help, I would use their people, and therefore they would want money for it. But I told them, yo, it's a free event, you can't charge me to throw a free event and take more money to throw the free event. So I went with other people, and I know they do it at full cost. So anytime we do have any kind of profits, I would give them first. And then I would think that any other profit, I would use it towards making Socalize bigger and better the next year or the following year.
So currently, what are the ways that the money comes in?
The money comes in for Socalize through a few different means. Well, we have the contributions at the door. We have the vendors that come to the event. Most of them pay to sell at the event, and for good reason. They make profit. They pay like $700, I think, and then they sell how much of a pies or whatever it is they sell, and they make back their money.
And then, well, the fact that you're not allowed to bring drinks would mean that patrons have to buy drinks at the venue.
Yes, so the bar also, but the bar kind of always breaks even, because it's not like we make a lot of money from that, because we have to pay for the drinks itself. So that is never really where we make a lot of money. Sorry, I'm just trying to find.
He has literally pulled up the accounts for Socalize on his computer.
Revenue and expense. Oh, we got a little sponsorship from Republic Bank too. I forgot that. TTRS also gave us a little sponsorship. Wow, I forgot them too.
And you had there was a thing with TTRS, and there was a
discount you could
code.
Put in a code for a ride, and you would get a free ride to the event or a discounted ride to the event. I think actually somebody told me to use it, and it was nice.
So some of these sponsorships weren't necessarily that they were giving you funds, but you had an agreement.
Yeah.
A sponsorship agreement.
Yeah.
That would also help promote the event, I suppose.
Yeah, it was always anytime somebody is willing to give sponsorship is usually not monetary. Is usually sometimes something tangible. So that's where the majority of the stuff came in from. But we did get a big sponsorship and stuff like that. That helped out a lot.
All right. Any questions, ladies? Because I will.
Yes, miss.
Go ahead.
Given the current circumstances of the world, is there any plans for Socalize 2021?
I am playing around with the thought of Socalize 2021. My father has a virtual show that he puts on every other day of the week. Sometimes he's put on a lot. And the show model is actually really good, where you can donate to the artist while the show goes on. So you see the performer, you're filtering, you donate $1 or $2 or whatever, it doesn't matter. You donate money to the show, therefore the artist gets the money and survives. If we do have soca music releasing in time for the first Sunday of the year, I would think about having Socalize put on so that I can showcase the songs. Although we have no carnival, I think we'll be able to showcase the music still, because people are still calling a lot for soca music to be released. So once we have performers, I have no problem bringing them onto the show. They could probably even just Skype in or Zoom in and perform the song on the live. And that would be the best way I see fit. I had other people come to me with the idea of the different squares all over the event, different trussing areas. But that is, I don't think...
Like a social distance.
Yeah, I don't think that will work well for us here, especially how we experience fets. So I don't think I would do that way. I'm looking at the virtual route. Once we have songs releasing, I will look at the virtual route and have people come down and perform. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Do you all have a question that you want to ask about marketing? Or should I ask it?
Miss, we had a question for marketing, but that question was answered already.
Ooh,
was it?
Mm.
I don't think we went. I think we could go a little bit more in depth into it. Considering that, I guess you would have, because I remember you were telling me how much it costs to get was it you? I can't remember. The generator to have the lights on the field.
Mm.
I think it was you.
I would hope so.
So marketing is something that in this age that we live in, marketing is something that you could more or less do without a budget. You could more or less market things for free. What was your marketing plan for Socalize, or was it something that you think markets itself?
Well, when
Socalize 2, I should say.
When I judged off of myself, like how I consume things, and anytime I see something that says free, I look at it twice. Not because I don't have money or anything. It's just, that word free just does something special to you. So
it's that F word that everybody loves.
So anytime I had anything put out, I tried my best to let it say, okay, free or something along those lines so that it can market itself. But the majority of the marketing that I found to be useful was having the artists come, especially for Socalize 2. I had a open space where if you arrive early enough with your team of people, you could perform.
Oh, like an open mic. Okay.
Yes. So it was like an hour I had planned for anybody. Once you come with your team, you go, you sign up, they'll tell you when you're performing. So a good few people came through with like their whole family and things. So it had enough people to get people there early. Yeah, and that was one of the marketing strategies I had. But I knew that once the performers are coming, they're not coming by themselves. You're not going to an event to perform by yourself and not tell everybody, to come and see you perform.
So I suppose that's like crowd control in a way, because the event is from what time to what time? 8 hours. 8 hours.
3 to 10, yeah.
So 3 to 11. And Trinidadians not generally coming out before sunset. So that was kind of that way of getting a crowd in early so that you wouldn't have everybody flooding in at the same time.
I didn't feel the need to market the end of the show because the end of the show will sell itself. I felt the need to market the beginning part of the show because the beginning part of the show is supposed to be a nice little picnic. You have space to do things. You have space to lounge and play around and watch the performers, and then in the night it becomes a actual fete event. Yeah, so I still look at means of marketing the earlier parts, but I think with time it will just always be that way, where people will come in later. I can do some things to get people to get there earlier, but that would take some more planning as we go along. But the early part of the show is what I try to market. I don't try to market the show itself. I think the show itself, once people comes out, I have no worry about it.
So is it mostly on social media that the actual promotion of it was?
Yes, and when Iowa called me and spoke, he's like, Kyle, but you have 2 radio stations. You could do ads on WAC. You could do ads on my station, and it didn't feel like where I wanted it to be. I didn't want to do radio ads and to feel like every other fete. I want to feel different. I want to be a little bit different to the other fetes. So I didn't want to have a tribe ad play and then my ad play and people just think, there's just a next option of a fete. No, I wanted it to feel different, where let your auntie invite you to this fete, or let your cousin say, hey, you going to that thing? Let me go down now. We go down with whoever. I didn't want it to be a very publicized commercial fete. I wanted it to be a friendly inter-family kind of event. So not a commercial event like all the others are. So some of the marketing means is how I try to stay different from the rest of the market.
So in a sense, the marketing platform that you use also influences the audience, the demographic of people who will come.
Because you could select your demographic when you do your social media ads.
And I suppose, well, which social media, like being even more specific, which social media platforms you use would impact the demographic as well. Because if you promote on Facebook, you're probably going to get a bit of an older audience than if you promote mostly on Instagram, or Twitter is a completely different demographic from Instagram. That would be different from LinkedIn or wherever else you could promote.
Yeah, we promoted, I believe, on Facebook and Instagram, and therefore the demographic is actually a very young demographic we have. I thought it would have been people around my age, but it actually was a lot younger than me. And then so we don't really have a age limit for it. So like my little niece was there for the majority of it.
It's family friendly.
Yeah, so it ended up being young because this is something you could actually bring the kids to. Is welcome to bring your kids to, or your little children to.
Yes. Anybody have a question? Because I have one. Any of my Form 6s have a question?
Yes, Miss.
Go ahead.
Kyle, if I can call you that, if it's cool with you.
Sure.
I know that you you represent the present day generation of producers that feel veterans, right? So I was trying to find out what advice you would give to upcoming music producers or anybody who wants to enter the industry that you're in, knowing that the younger generation has the mindset and focus to achieve greatness, but they aren't getting the opportunities to help them fuel their careers or to even keep them interested in the industry.
Okay, that's an interesting question. You said something that I wasn't sure what it was. You said, I am one of the present day producers that fuel
Veterans.
Veterans. Oh, okay. Interesting. I love this industry so much. I love this industry. I would always tell people, is an industry worth looking into or joining in any form or fashion. And repeat the direction of the advice, because I will go off on a completely different tangent on it. Repeat the specific part you want me to answer one more time.
I said, what advice would you give to upcoming music producers, right? Or anyone who wants to...
Oh, we lost it for a second.
Yeah.
Miss LaQuisha.
Yeah, we're not hearing you.
You're able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I said, what advice would you give to upcoming music producers or anyone who wants to enter the industry?
Okay. I would always say, differentiate yourself. Learn your craft, but learn it in a way that helps you. And everybody is different. So you would never produce the exact same thing I would produce. Whoever is this young producer would never do the exact same work that I do. So therefore, once you learn your craft and you learn exactly what you want from your craft, you would find your own way of what you want to do in the music. And you showcase that the best way possible. Nobody is really going to give you a platform easily. You most times have to create your own platform or create your own means to find a way to do what it is you're looking at doing. But this is a beautiful industry to be a part of. Right now, it might not be the greatest, but it is still a really nice industry to be a part of. And therefore, I would always advise people to try their best to join, but you really need to just find a way to differentiate yourself from everybody else. Find your niche market, find your audience. We always think that soca is about just the masqueraders, but it have the people that like to listen soca, but not play mass or masquerade. You could find all your different spaces inside it. Have these zesters who don't play mass, but like the zest soca. That's a different market. You just find what market is working for you or is your market specifically, and you build your ground from there. You build there and you go forward from that market. Your market could just be your family. And from there, they introduce your music to other people and your reach grows. It's just to find your specific market, find your niche. I remember I said that in an interview, and my friends say that word was too up there. People wouldn't know what niche is. Yeah.
Well, we are looking at that in module 1 now, but we're looking at niche markets in module 2. But yeah, the meeting is gonna end again in 2.5 minutes. You'll just come back and we'll wrap up and finish before 3. But bouncing off of LaQuisha's question, so LaQuisha.
LaQuisha.
Yeah.
My bad.
So this industry is not the easiest to survive in, I suppose, especially if you're not a producer. I didn't mean that in a way as though your role is any easier to survive in than other people's. But what do you think, and especially now in this COVID go-over season, yeah. What do you think the industry is missing to make it internationally? The local industry is missing to make it internationally viable for this upcoming generation of my Form 6s and Form 5s? It's gonna cut you off in less than a minute, but
so you want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
When
start.
I come back?
No, you can start, and then when we come back, you'll continue. Don't lose your thoughts.
Okay, I would say soca is already international. There are carnivals in Germany, Canada, LA. Almost every part of the globe, there is some remnants of a soca or a carnival event or celebration. So we are already international. The majority of the stars, popular stars in America, know carnival or play carnival or experience LA carnival, because the majority of them is being LA, and it's our entire LA carnival. So we are international. It's just going to take some time for yeah, nah, that next thing I got wait and be a little weird. I'll wait for it to come back.
Okay.
Right, yeah. What I was going to explain is that we are already international. We are crossing the minds and the feeds of popular mainstream artists. Drake performing with Marshall rubbing shoulders with Rihanna. The other day I see who it was, Bungie or Fayan put up a picture with Kanye West. What Fayan doing next to Kanye West? Like, we're already there. We're already extremely international. It's just when we lock our entire culture into something palatable and the culture is self-sustaining, then I see it returning to become mainstream popular in the international field. Like Nigerian culture, right now Afrobeat is extremely popular, and that's because you're taking their entire that's because we're taking their entire culture into consideration. When we listen to Burna Boy sing a song, Burna Boy, all his songs, he uses samples from one of the old school singers. So if we were to say that same exact thing in Trinidad culture, like Sparrow, let's say Burna Boy is using Sparrow samples in every song he does, he has about at least 3 or 4 Sparrow samples. Their Sparrow is a man named Fela Kuti. And all of them, like him, Wizkid, all of them have Fela Kuti tattooed on their skin. I don't see any soca artists tattooing Marshall Montano or
Kitchener.
Kitchener on their skin. No, we're not there yet. We don't love our own culture enough for the international market to love it for us. So when we find a way to love our culture that way, then we could package everything together and then the international market would take it, because we were already there. Sparrow and Kitchener used to perform alongside Harry Belafonte and those guys. Calypso was the first record to sell 1 million copies. Gene and Dinah and all of those old songs. Calypso was the first sound. So we've already been there. And I think it'll rotate and it'll come back. It's just as soon as we could fully love our culture the way we should, then other people would love our culture and our sound and our music the same way.
So do you mean that
We just write that down.
So, Miss, that's all. Would you say the love for our culture is seasonal? Only around carnival time is when people love the vibes or whatever?
Yes and no, but yes, majority yes. I don't see Trinidad flags all over the place until we play in a football match. So it's not specifically seasonal, but anytime we're doing something as a country, then you see Trinidad flags on people's car passing, or for carnival, you wear a Trinidad flag on your back and you go somewhere, or if you're in the next carnival, you run around with a Trinidad flag. That's what happens. Only around those times I really see a Trinidad flag. But if you look around, I see more Jamaican flags in Trinidad than Trinidad flags. I always see the Jamaican colors. I always see in Bob Marley. I always see in something else. And if that's how much Jamaica love their culture, and their culture is being loved internationally, let us love ours like that.
So do you mean that currently our music is being, we are trying to make it palatable to this international audience, when that's not actually what will differentiate us?
No, it's not just the music. They don't take just the music. They take the music, they take the culture,
so it's like
they take
K-pop. Like we were talking about K-pop.
Yes.
That is not just people like K-pop music, they like the entire, you know, Korean culture and the thing with the finger and all of that. The thing with the yelling.
I don't know that.
I'll tell you after. So we need to
K-pop
market,
is a culture.
Market ourselves as more than just music, more than just soca, and as the entire encompassing experience of being a Trinidadian. Then
yes, and it's not even that, because soca and carnival is not Trinidad and Tobago own. We are the Mecca, yes, but it's not ours. We merely are just at the forefront. So it's really the culture of carnival and the culture of mass and the culture of celebration is what we need to find a way to encapsulate into a nice little bubble, so that that is all palatable to the international market. Like I don't see Drake going and pick up a Trinidadian accent and sing that on his next song. You might see him do it with a Jamaican accent, but you can't go in a song and say horse or Badjohn, Dan. No, I don't see it being that way. It's not extremely palatable yet. There has ways we could get there, but only with the love of our own we'll get there, and we're slowly moving towards that.
Anybody have a question? Because you'll know I have one.
So you said that the industry itself is a really, really nice industry, and I agree with that. We have a rich culture and it's very diverse, but many young artists, we don't know where, we want to integrate into the industry, but we don't know where to start. So what advice would you give to help these young people to move into the industry and find themselves within it?
I've been asked this question a lot from international artists also, international soca artists. And I always share the example of a young artist upcoming right now. I have two in mind, of Imani Ray and a next one from New York or something named Ray. It's like they are not based in Trinidad. Yes, they might have Trinidad roots or Trinidad culture, but they're not based here. And it's like, let's say I'm trying to release a song with popcorn for the Jamaican market, and I'm trying to do it from Trinidad, I have to go to Jamaica, I have to shake hands, I have to rub shoulders with the people there and release the song there, let it be felt there. If I want to release for the international market, like the mainstream international, I have to be in LA. I need to be around the people that feeling that music and doing that music. If you want to do country music, they always say you need to go to Nashville. When it comes to soca and carnival, more often than not, you need to be not just in Trinidad, but you need to be where that music is consumed. You need to be in those fets. You need to be networking. You need to have somebody introduce you to me, or have somebody introduce you to Anson, or have somebody introduce you to, what was one of them DJs' name? Shal, or one of them other DJs. You need to be shaking hands with those people so that they see your music, they hear your music, they know what your music is about. They know that you singing. That's how you break into the market. You get yourself known. People would know you before they know your music. Yeah, and that's how I think the younger artists should find their way in. Because your music would then differentiate you, but before your music even becomes good, you need to sing. You need to be around. The example of Voice. I know Voice singing since Soca Star.
See, this exact example came up in our last interview. We were talking about Whining on an Alien.
Right. Voice sang Alien. Voice had a song with Marshall. Voice had other songs. But only when he released Cheers to Life, people was like, wait, is your first song and you get this so big? Wow, you get through. You break out with your first song. And that wasn't Voice's first song. Voice has been singing however long before that. So it took all those time of him singing those songs, doing those things, to shake the right hands, to be in the right places. I think he joined that group that used to write songs for people. And that's where he was getting a lot of exposure. And then that song, Cheers to Life, came out, his first song, in quote unquote.
His first hit, then, we can say.
Yeah, and then that's when he blew up and became a popular artist. But he spent those first few years rubbing shoulders, passing this one, meeting this one, writing a song for this one, meeting this group, aligning himself so that people know, okay, well, that's Voice, yeah, he doing this thing. And when he became big, everybody say, oh, okay, well, now we know Voice, you know, yeah, now is your time, do your thing. Yeah, and he has been on the go since then. Since then, he has been on top of the game. And right before that song, he was ready to quit also. He was like, well, boy, I released 4 or 5. This is my 6th song right now, and me and feeling it. He wrote a song on that rhythm it was Kerwin. He started the Kerwin song, the Kerwin and Patrice on that same Cheers to Life rhythm. And he's like, Kyle, what you feel by writing the next song? What you feel we could pitch it to? And it was already the last day or the last few days of us working on the project to put it out. And I was like, well, boy, right now we ain't gonna pitch that to nobody, you know, but that song real bad. Why don't you sing it yourself? He's like, nah, I know not singing thing no more. And I feel like just writing. And my brother and all came and asked me, he's like, look, Voice say you tell him to sing the song. I don't want to do that, you know. Like, why are we doing that? I was like, boy, the song bad. Nobody else sing. If anything, the crew want to just be big. Like, just put it out and see. We had no idea that Cheers to Life would be as popular as it was. And look at what it did for him. And that is after 3-4 years of him.
That's so inspirational.
Struggling and fighting with it. And he only wrote the song because I bounced up in UE. I was like, hey, what you doing these days, boy? He's like, what you mean, boy? I singing? What you mean? I was like, okay, I'll send you something. And I sent him something, and he wrote the next song. And that's where it came from. But it didn't come without all the work he was doing before, because he was doing all the work before. I have a new example now with, I don't like this example, but I have a new example with College Boy. College Boy has been singing years upon years. And last year I spoke with him before Carnival, and I was telling him how something we spoke about. I said, yo, you know, you can't really give half. I wasn't even talking about carnival or soca, but I said to him, you can't really give half of what you can't give half of yourself and expect full returns. Expect half returns. And then, no, if you give half of yourself, expect half returns.
Oh.
Yeah, so we was talking about something else. And the next time he came back into the studio, we was working on I don't even remember the project. He said to me, but Kyle, you remember, and you said that half thing, I leave my work, I go in this thing fully, like all these years I try but I have a work, so I see if I have things to fall back on. Me really need the soca to get through. And through all that year of him saying, yo, I leave him my work, I going fully into it, he win Soca Monarch. I had no clue his song. I knew it because I was his friend, but I didn't know his song was popular enough to win that competition, and he went on to win it. And now I feel bad because he's unemployed right now. He has nowhere to go. He has no gigs. He has nothing going on like that. I mean, he's busy, but he leave his work and look at what's going on. He's supposed to be touring the entire world right now singing his song. But yeah, that was the next situation where he was half-heartedly into the industry, and only when he full-heartedly needed the industry to work for him, he messaged me. Only when he full-heartedly needed the industry to work for him, he is when it worked for him. So really and truly, the industry is really nice, but to find your way in it, you really need to, one, give your all and really be serious about the industry. And two, start building your market. Let your sound be unique from everybody else's. I hope I answered your question. That was Dominique.
Yes, that was Dominique.
Yes, you did.
Oh no, she said, yeah. What do you think us artists? So
Yeah.
I thought so.
So what I got from that was inspirational. Don't give up. Network. Make your differentiate yourself, I guess. Sell
Be
yourself.
unique, yeah.
And something else was in there. Something else was in there, but that was inspiring. You basically created voice then.
No.
Yes, because he wasn't gonna produce his song, and if he didn't, then he would not be.
He wasn't even gonna put it out.
He was not been voice. That's amazing. That's nice. Now, so you just mentioned that. I mean, unfortunately, College Boy, because he did decide to give his all, and he reaped the benefits. He won Soca Monarch. Was it the first time he entered Soca Monarch?
No.
But he won Soca Monarch this year. And now COVID just brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about how COVID has or will affect you as a producer, or the industry that you are in, considering that I guess Carnival is the pinnacle of our music industry, the way it is set up right now.
Well, that's
and sorry, and how you intend to navigate it in these unprecedented times.
I can talk now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right. People think that Carnival is the pinnacle of soca music, but I had a rude awakening last year. I spoke to the producer of Hello, Kit, who's playing game.
Hello by Kes.
That's Kitwana Israel. He wrote, produced everything. So he owns that song, I believe, majority of the song, right? And he told me how much that song makes for him. And I was blown away. I knew songs make money, but I was blown away when I heard his numbers. It destroyed my everything I knew, because I think I won Road March or something the year before. And I didn't even have a percentage, a full integer percentage of what he had gotten from Hello. So it was crazy to know that, okay, I might have one of the biggest songs for Carnival, but he has such monetary value from a song that you would say, yes, it was popular, but it wasn't one of the biggest songs because it didn't win any titles or anything. But wow. So therefore, we producers, we still earn money from these songs that we own. There is a kind of rift going on where artists are trying to get on board with the owning of masters and stuff, and that is, it's just a crazy riff going on with that right now. But that's how us producers make money. We own the masters of the song. So if you go on iTunes right now and you listen to the song or you play it, we earn every time it's played.
I am so glad. Wow, you see how the universe is work? Literally, my next question was about asking you to explain to us, how intellectual property and stuff works in terms of royalties and how you make money and how the artists make money and the different arrangements and stuff. But so you can answer that one time.
Okay.
They are in the chat talking about how Hello is a big tune.
Nah, Hello is a monstrous tune.
I play
think
Hello
it
on
is...
Pan for Panorama that year. That one year I play Pan. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Hello is probably the greatest earning song of soca ever, possibly.
Really?
Killed? I think it's the most viewed on YouTube.
Good.
I think so. But yeah, no, the kind of money that song has brought in is crazy and continues to bring in to today. So every song that we do, that we own, continues to bring in money all now, because we could go back and we could listen to Cheers to Life. We could go back and listen to Alien, and that would bring in money for everybody. So therefore, that's where the industry is really nice to get into. I try to remember where the start of this question was, I don't want to run into the next one right away. Yeah, I don't want to run into the next one right away, but yeah, if we do remember, I'll run into the next one.
What no, I asked. What did I ask? I was talking about the industry and COVID and how it's affecting, you're making money and thing like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, no, we currently still making money. Yeah, we still producers. A lot of people still doing work. So I still have production to do, because production is really, we could do everything online. I don't need to meet with anybody to do any specific song. So I'm still doing a lot of work here. I'm very behind on a lot of songs, but it's not soca specific or it's not carnival specific. So I have no deadline. So I am wasting a lot of time getting around to it.
So you think if you were specifically a soca producer, then you would be in a bit more of a tough position with the upcoming season?
Yes and no. If I was a popular soca producer, I can survive year round. Yeah, as we go on, I don't need to do new music. But incoming money is always, nice. So therefore, I would have been in a bit of a bind, yes.
Okay.
But no, people still doing music, still have a lot of songs around. Yeah, I have another artist messaging me for a song to organize because they want to release for Carnival. So it is slowly getting back to where it should be. At this point, though, I would have been swamped in work. I think last year in September or October, an artist came for a session at 11 p.m. and they recorded the song and it's like, all right, I'm going on the radio tomorrow morning to release, okay? So prepare this for me for like 7 o'clock. I was like, but it's like 2 o'clock. It's like, yeah, 7. So when they leave, I then had to finish the song. And right now, it's just been a crazy busy time. And that's how it usually is always be. So it is a lot. It's very welcome for it to be this lethargic, but it is getting boring. So the releases coming back around is a really nice thing. Yeah, but the timing is slower. It is a lot slower. I think that is my thoughts on the whole COVID thing. It really gives you time to relax and try to figure out what we need to do. I think it will also recreate the style of the soca. So the sound of soca should sound different or feel different, at least for this year.
Interesting.
So we sat down to do a song yesterday and I read back up to figure out that Carnival was not cancelled but postponed in 1972, I think, for the polio crisis. They had it in May. And it rained, yeah, and they had a song about it.
Yeah, Rainorama. And it
yeah,
won.
no thing, but yeah, that was it.
Not like I wrote an article about this or anything. Yeah, and Rainorama won Road March. Yeah. But my why I was asking you that is because I'm trying to get them to understand. We were talking about assets in a business. So I was saying that you have financial and non-financial assets. So in terms of if you're producing something that involves intellectual property, then that is an asset rather than saying you have $5,000 in the bank. In that sense, it's non-monetary, but it's an asset. Just talk to us a little bit about, help us to understand how intellectual property or masters or royalties work as an asset for you. And then I'm going to hush.
Okay, it gets really confusing, whereas the song exists in two realms, the song here and the song here. One is royalties, one is master. So we're not going into that because that is crazy confusing. I will specifically talk about the idea of the master ownership. Usually if I do a song, let's say I do a song for Harmony, Harmony comes in and sings a song and she does not pay me for the song. So essentially all the cost of the song, the production, the recording, everything is on me. I am then paying it. Even if I own the studio and I don't have to pay it, it still costs naturally to me. So therefore, I would take ownership of the master. So when that song is released and it goes up online and LaQuisha streams it, the money would come to me, opposed to going to Harmony. I would give a percentage to Harmony through goodwill because, she is her song really and truly. But this is where the fight producers are having with the artists right now, because some of the artists don't want to pay for the song and then want a larger percentage on the song itself after not spending any money. So it is a little bit of a fight we're having right now, but everybody learning to discuss and make their agreements beforehand.
So how does Harmony make money?
Well, every time the song is streamed, let's say we get 5 cents, I would
give me 3.
If you have 20% of the song, you will get 20% of the 5 cents. I will get 80% of the 5 cents, right? And that is strictly on the master ownership side. On the creative side, there are royalties. So for me to have Socalize, I have to pay a license to cut. And
ringing a bell, ladies, legal fees, startup costs.
Right. So I pay how much ever to cut. And within that, they supposed to send somebody to the event to write down what has played. And after the carnival, they'll calculate and say, okay, the most played song for that carnival the other day is a snack. That was the most played song. So therefore, everybody that signed a royalty sheet for that song gets a percentage split from that royalty payment. And that has nothing to do with the master ownership. That is purely on the creative side. So if a man come in and say, yo, Travis, that kick real bad, boy, but change it to this now. He was then part of the creative process. So he's supposed to get a royalty split. So that is the next side of the song. So one side that pays is the master, and the next side is your royalty side. That's the two sides that pay. People always get it confused, and plenty artists don't even know the difference between the two, and they're always asking for percentage, and they'll be asking for the wrong percentage. So that's where the debacle stems from.
So whereas if I were an artist, I might make money from performances, I might make money from tours and stuff like that. Yes, brand ambassadorship. Your assets would be the ownership.
The song is my asset, yeah. So if
and it is a pension plan.
There is an artist that always says this every time they do a song. They'll be like, yo, Kyle, there's my pension plan, so I get a little more percentage, I'll be like, so about my pension plan? I do perform and I do tour and I use tour. Like, so who pension more important here?
Right.
And we always fight the battle, but yes, you were right. We both make percentage, but when they perform and they tour, I don't get a percentage of that money.
Right.
They keep that money for themselves. but they want a larger percentage of when it streams online.
Right.
So we didn't find it fair that they wanted the money that we making when they making money already.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now is when the masters come into strong play, because without the ability to make any funds performing, the streams are really what are sustaining right now, I believe. Especially for the artists who don't have any form of work. The producers, we could now produce something else and still make some money from that.
Mm-hmm.
But the artists don't. So a lot of artists are now coming to negotiate about masters for songs that have been out a long time.
This is the last question I'm asking, and then I'm going to hand it back over to them. But are there contracts and stuff involved in these things, or it's mostly just, agree?
Most times it is just agreed. Contracts are a little bit frightening, especially if an artist come and bring a contract for me. I go and say, whoa, you're that kind of guy, all right. And I would slowly get around to that. Artists I do a song would ask me for a contract, and I have it right here. I just don't want to send it to them because I rather we be cordial enough to make an agreement that we could both adhere to. If we need a contract, I feel like trust is a little bit lacking between us. Although the contract is the right thing, if we could just have a WhatsApp chat where we agree on something, I feel a lot safer.
Mm-hmm.
If we have to have a contract, I feel it's a bit non-trustworthy, that the fact that we need a contract to keep us binded. Nah. So yeah.
The informal agreements then.
Is how we try to keep it. I know Rome always, every time he makes an agreement, he sends it in an email, make sure everybody agree, because that is worthy in court. You could go to court with an email thread and say, look, you agreed to this percentage here. What's the problem? So I know everybody handles their scene differently. But yeah, contracts is the right thing, but I don't think we're there yet, because it's not like people management bring in contracts there and say, hey, it's a cool scene, let me sign this. Anytime you have to sign a contract, it's extremely serious. Feel like you should be in a suit and tie. So it gets really jarring, I find.
Right. Okay. I'm finished talking now, so I'm going to hand it back over to my ladies. Yes, Seda said she find producing is real work and real hard, and for somebody to sing a little something on her track and that take 2 months to make, and you barely do anything, she's taking 75%.
Miss, real serious, because the way as we struggling to make some drums and sing, nah.
So anybody have any final questions that they want to ask about anything so that we could wrap up?
Miss, I would.
Go ahead, sure.
Okay, so for instance, right, if I don't want to create my own venture, right, where your music is concerned, well, your work field, right, and I want to join Precision Production as a music producer, right, how do I register?
There is no registration process. It's like,
it's links.
You have to go and speak to Precision Productions and see if they're willing to take on people. But most times, every producer kind of has their own brand and their own label, because that is how it is. So him taking you on would be a kind of slim chance.
Just because you work with who I guess you're creatively compatible with, I suppose.
Yeah, no. And every production group I have seen in Trinidad and Tobago, most times have failed, or not failed, but have always disbanded. Precision disbanded, Bhajan disbanded. It usually happens. Kitten, Mikhail disbanded. It usually happens because creatively you're never gonna have the 100% exact dream and goal that somebody else has. So your view for your product or your view for this will never ever 100% line up. There will always be some disparity, and there is where it just grows. Every song or every project that happens, it grows and gets bigger, and until it is no longer possible to withstand, and then it always disbands. It doesn't always be negative, but most times that happens.
Thank you. Any further questions from anybody at all in the last 7.5 minutes that we have? About anything, literally.
Are things like internships like common within the production team?
Repeat that for me.
again?
Things like internships, is that a common thing within the production industry, or there's just not a thing at all?
It's a little bit weird. We don't really do interns. I do interns here at the studio. I bring in interns once they have a formal knowledge of like production, and I let them use the room. Like we have some smaller rooms, I let them use it and practice. And anything they need help with, most times I'm just right across in this room to help them with. And when I have excess sessions or a session that I could palm off to them, I will. But a lot of it is I'll give them the space to do the work to learn for themselves, because I don't think I could teach production by sitting and, you put the kick here, you put the snare here. No, it doesn't, that doesn't feel right. So therefore the production is something you learn on your own. So the internships are really far and few in between, and it really is you still learning on your own. You might just learn the ethic or make a few connections by being an intern, but it isn't drastically helpful right now.
Interesting. You y'all could also ask questions in the chat if you have any questions or anything that you want to ask out loud in the last 5 minutes and 44 seconds that we have. Anybody at all? See that?
Yes, Ada. So you could just message KMP page and we could talk on that page once I actually see the message, and we could organize a time you could come in once you have prior knowledge and you would be more or less helpful to be in studio. You could come and we could start an internship. I don't know if I'll take on anybody new, because right now I'm not even doing sessions with new clients because I afraid Corona. So
Well, my knowledge of production, well, I have a lot of music theory, but for me, really the hardest thing is drums. Drums real hard. Drums real hard for me. I don't know why. It's probably because I don't have a MIDI, so I have to actually do it. So yeah.
So I currently click in all my drums right now. I'm a keyboard producer. I'm a mouse and keyboard producer. Clicking all my drums, yeah. I don't even play it anymore.
But we're going to talk about that offline so that you don't hot up your head. Anybody have anything that they want to ask? I don't know if I'm missing. No, I'm not. Anybody have anything that they want to ask about anything at all before we wrap up? You could type it or you could say it out loud before I ask my final question.
You have more questions now?
Yes, I always have. Okay, I'm going to ask. My final question is, so we heading back to Socalize. It's not like a wrap-up question, but answer it quick because I had to tell you thank you at the end of the session too, right? So for Socalize, the art, as much as you have new artists who would typically perform for free because you also have known artists who would perform for free when a lot of their money, as we just established, comes from performances, especially in the carnival season. How you managed to negotiate or get these artists like Nyla or whoever else who is accustomed performing for upwards, I guess, of $10,000? How did you manage to get these people to perform completely for free for this event that is bringing them in no income?
The event has the perfect stature of being early, and because it is early, a lot of them
perform. You mean early in the year, in the season? In the season,
yeah. A lot of them come and perform for free so they could get the footage from it to put it up online so that other promoters say, whoa, look how this guy moved the crowd. He in Trinidad, all right, let's have him for our thing. Because you could have a popular song, but if you're not here to perform it or people don't think you're here to perform it, you're not gonna get booked. You could be here and you could be around, but it's not like it has a site you could go on and say, okay, all right, he in Trinidad, all right, let me book him. No, it's kind of who you see, who in your face, who around. And it just changed from different people to different things. Second Star came to the first Socalize because he had a session with Casey here. And he's just like, all right, well, after the session, I'll just run over and sing anything. Teddyson John, I organized for him to perform in a wedding that paid him the day before Socalize.
Oh.
So he was already here, and I was here with his popular song Parley or something, yeah. So he came and he performed Goodwill. Me and Teddy don't really speak like that, but it was a friend of mine, sister was getting married. I spoke to him and made sure he came in for it. And yeah, so it kind of varies, but
there's an agreement
the
that you come to.
Yeah, the publicity that they get from it, they take it most times because it's so early in the season. It's like one of the first few fets. So
and I guess you also
have
to have that rapport with them.
Yeah, not really. Okay. Like I fell out with so much of them trying to book them for the event. I remember I used to have a list where I write down who was actually coming. Yeah, who's actually coming to the event. So I had question marks by people's name, and sometimes I spoke to some artists and he's like, but who else performing? I don't want to perform with no small man. And I say, all right, big boy. And I sent him a picture and he put up the picture with his name around these other men's name. And one of the artists is like, I never tell you I come in for sure, boy. How you go have my thing in promotional? I said, but I'm sorry. And I answered this. And I just left it alone. But yeah, that's how it goes. You kind of ask. Yeah, it's not like I knew everybody that there, but we know each other.
Yeah, if you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Okay.
Somewhat. I remember Ding Dong came and performed. He say, well, I perform because, if Kyle have a hit for me next year, he could call me.
Right. Nice. That was my final question. And Kyle, on behalf of my Form 6s, I just wanted to say thank you ever so much for taking this time out of your afternoon to give us so much that we are also just going to discuss, going forward with this subject. And it's nice to talk to somebody around my age, a young person in the industry. So ladies, y'all are free to take off your mic before the minute is up and just say thank you and any closing things that you want to tell him before we run off. I am also hungry. I have a